any other things to clarify? May I start our session?
Yes, sure.
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Thanks
sir.
a lot. Can you just tell me how many of you have read through the study guide with respect to the rules of procedure?
Sir.
Sir, I have read through the study guide and I feel the study guide is very good.
Yes, sir. Same here.
So have I.
All right.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so I'll just be doing a quick run through of the study guide, not the study guide, the rules of procedure only. If you have any questions regarding the procedure of AIP, then we'll session as just clarifying those doubts. If you have any questions regarding the study guide or the topic at hand, I'll be taking those questions later as well. So I'll be doing a quick run through of just a second. Yeah, okay. Can you see the screen? Can you see the screen that I'm
sir.
sharing?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So how many of you have done MUS before, or like youth parliament of any nature before?
Sir, here.
I
I have done.
have done. I also had done MUN, sir.
Cool.
This is my
At least-
first youth parliament.
So at least that you're not completely unfamiliar with the concept, so that's nice. Sure. So basically, we'll start with the opening statements.
Sir, but
Thank you.
I think there are some first timers also.
Yeah. I'm going to start like with the basics itself. So AIPPM and All India political parties meet. The committee is basically a very it's a formal committee. It's not like the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha. It's rather a formal committee where all parties come to a meet. So say for example, you remember the India-China border standoff that's happening right now in Ladakh. So for that, the Modi government instituted an AIPPM where all the parties met together and were discussing security options. So although this is not as formal a committee as a Lok Sabha or a parliamentary session as such, but this is a formal committee in terms of all parties coming together and discussing on matters of significant importance. So on that note, you have to know the purpose of this particular committee as well. It's not as formal as the parliament. Hence, the rules of procedure that we will be adopting are going to be quite lenient in terms of the time that is allocated to every speaker. So let's start with the first things first. So the language that you can use in this committee on the days of the committee is both English and Hindi because it's India, so both would be allowed. Actually, you can also speak in any of the 22 languages that is there in the constitution, be it Bengali, Tamil, or Telugu, or any of those languages that are required. However, for the sake of the committee, because a lot of people don't understand those languages, we have narrowed it down to two languages, that is English and Hindi. So I don't think that will be a problem for most of the people. So yeah, so you can speak in Hindi or English throughout the session in your debates or whatever. Okay. After that, we'll take a roll call where we will be taking whether or not parties are present and voting. It doesn't change much in this particular committee, but there is a significant difference in calling yourself present versus calling yourself present and voting. Say for example, in a different committee in the UN Security Council or something like that, somebody who is present means that he can also. Sorry, can you just mute your mic? Yeah, okay. So calling yourself present means that you can not only vote yes or no if there is a paperwork, but you can also abstain from voting with respect to certain things. However, you are when you're when you've called yourself present and voting, there's no possibility for you to abstain from voting. This particular procedure is not really needed for AIPPM because every one of you is expected to vote whether it's yes or no, and we don't have too much weightage on paperwork as well. So hence this particular part of the procedure is not very important for this particular committee. Anyway, so we will begin with the opening statements. An opening statement can go for either 90 seconds, that is 1 minute seconds, or that is 2 minutes. At the start of the committee itself, after the roll call, I'll be asking for motions. Any of the speakers, any of the parliamentarians, or if party representatives can come up and raise a motion where you can probably set the opening statements, the time for opening statements as either 90 seconds or 2 minutes, or maybe 1 minute as well. But you cannot go beyond 2 minutes. Okay. So what you will do rather in this particular opening statement, like in this particular opening statement, is that I'll be after that motion is in order, I'll be taking the name. I'll be asking for speakers in this particular opening statement, where you can probably raise your hand or probably notify me that you want to speak at that particular point of time. We'll have a list of people who want to speak in the opening statements. We will. So what you have to do as a person, what you have to do as somebody who is going to give an opening statement, is that you have to basically just lay down what you hope to achieve from this committee. So say for example, if I am Uddhav Thackeray, okay. If I'm Uddhav Thackeray, probably my opening statement in an environment committee might be something regarding, it might be with regards to my constituency, it might be with regards to where I come from, or it might be something regarding, like, my own area, like say for example, the RA forest thing that was happening in terms of environment, right? But you can also talk on other things which might not affect your constituency or your portfolio as such. Say for example, you can make general comments regarding what you want to hope out of this environment committee, probably better laws, probably if the existing laws are not enough, then what reforms you want to suggest, or all these kind of things. Sure, I mean, you don't have to go into details in the opening statements, but it's like opening statements is more like just laying down your stance as whoever you represent as to what you hope to achieve from the committee. That's what an opening statement is about. Okay, so opening statements will have points of information. A point of information is basically a question from one speaker to another. Basically, if I'm Uddhav Thackeray laying down, my opening statement, after my opening statement is done, any of the other speakers, say for example Rahul Gandhi, or say for example Modi, or anybody else, can probably ask a question to me based on what my opening statement was. So say for example, if I talk about the RA forest thing that happened in Mumbai with regards to cutting down of a lot of trees for the development of the metro, probably somebody else, some other speaker could ask me a question on whether or not what I said is on whether or not they want to know something about that issue, or probably if they want to ask me questions on my speech as such. You can always use that mechanism. So points of information, just remember, it's just a question that you ask from one particular speaker to the other. So it's usually supposed to be only on the speech done by a speech like made by the other speaker. So yeah, so opening statements will have points of information. All right. So once all the opening statements are done, we will go for the GSL. I'm pretty sure most of you will be would be knowing what a GSL is, but I'll still detail it. A GSL, the general speakers list. A general speakers list is basically a non-exhaustive list. It can never exhaust. It will go on and on for the 2-3 days of the committee. Secondly, you can speak about literally anything that comes to your mind in a general speakers list. So for example, I want to speak about say anything related to the environment, because that is what this committee is instituted for. So don't bring up China, or don't bring up TikTok or anything as such, but you could probably bring up anything related to the agenda as such, that you have no constraints as you would have probably when you're having a formal session, which I'll be detailing later on. So this is what the general speakers list is. You can again, so I have not, this screen doesn't talk about the time as well. I'll just say it out loud. So just like an opening statement, a GSL cannot extend more than 1 minute 30 seconds. For a GSL, the maximum limit is 2 minutes, but in a GSL speech, you cannot go more than 1 minute 30 seconds. So you can probably end your speech before 1 minute 30 seconds. But then, say for example, if you speak for 1 minute 10 seconds, then the remaining 20 seconds, you can do 3 things. Either you can yield it to some other speaker. Say for example, yielding means you're giving time to the other speaker. So say for example, I'm Uddhav Thackeray and I want to give my speaking time to somebody else. Then I can probably say, hey, I yield my time to say Narendra Modi, something like that. So that is the first kind of a yield. The second yield is when you yield your time to the chair, that is me. So when you're yielding your time to the chair, I have two options. I can either throw it open for points of information where other speakers can ask you questions on your speech, or I can probably just move on with the next speaker. So it is my discretion when you yield your time to me as a chair. So that is it. Third is when you yourself yield it to points of information or comments. So you have the choice. You can yield it for points of information or comments as such. The difference between two is that point of information is a question that is to be made on your speech. A comment doesn't have to be a question. It can only be about, hey, I support you on this particular regard, or something like that. It can be a blank statement as such. Just that statement has to be made on top of the speech that has been given like before. So that's what the GSL is. You can speak about anything under the umbrella of the agenda if you want to say it out loud. So there's one there's one strategic thing that most speakers do use it as. So a GSL, say for example, somebody was having a debate about in a formal session, say for example about some specific topic that you wanted to speak about. However, your time exhausted well before what you wanted to actually say, or say for example you wanted to say more than what you like said in your debate. However, the time has elapsed. So what as a mechanism, you add your name to the GSL and say whatever you wanted to say out like over there if you have missed it out in your other debate that is a formal discussion. So that's just a strategic way how members or MLAs or parliamentarians use GSL as.
Hello.
Yeah, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Just
Go ahead.
Just a second.
Guys, in the meantime, I would like to apologize. I had some internet issues so that I got disconnected. Sorry for that. Actually, like,
Yes, hello, yeah. No, actually, Rangan is having some technical issue. He had started off. Yeah, there's this request for all the members to please put on their cameras and keep your mics on mute.
Excuse me, ma'am. I
Yes,
have a
thank
very poor internet connection of late. So if
Okay.
I switch on my camera, then it becomes a bit difficult. So is it
Yeah,
okay if I
so
keep
in
it
that
off?
case, you can keep cameras off, but otherwise, if you not have any technical issues, then please put your cameras on. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
sir, you are.
sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
The agenda as such. Say for example, the RA forest in Mumbai, or say for example you want to talk about the new
procedure that the Environment Ministry has rolled out in terms of Environment Impact Assessment, EIA, or something like that, right? So we can have any numerous subtopics that can be there on sub agendas, as we call it, under the main agenda that can be discussed in a formal discussion. So how do you initiate a formal discussion? When the chair, that is me, when I am open for motions, when I'll ask for motions, any speaker from amongst you can raise your hand or can just notify me through chat, because it's a digital platform. It's kind of difficult to see everyone on the screen. But anyway, so once I take note of who wants to raise a motion, you can start your you can probably initiate the motion by saying, I Rajnath Singh would like to suspend formal debate and enter into a formal discussion. So you specify how much time you want the formal discussion to be. It cannot go more than 30 minutes. So it has to be less than that, say 20 minutes, 15 minutes, however you want it to be. And per speaker time can be 1 minute. And so you can just say that I want to raise a formal discussion on this particular topic for this much amount of time, for individual speakers as such. So this is how you raise a formal discussion motion in an AIPPN. Once that motion is in order, and I'll be also recognizing 2 more other motions which might be there. Once those motions are in order, we'll be voting on them in the order of its disruption. An order of disruption is basically, it means that, say for example, whichever motion disrupts the House the most is voted upon first. So the disruption, say for example, if I say that, so there are 3 motions. One is for 20 minutes, one is for 15 minutes, the other is for 10 minutes. The most disruptive motion is that one which has 20 minutes, because it disrupts the House and consumes the most amount of time for the House. So that will be the 20-minute one motion will be voted upon first. Whichever is the most disruptive one will be voted upon first. So in case that motion passes, we are in that particular motion. However, if that motion fails, then we take up the other 2 motions for voting in the order of this disruption. So this is how voting will happen on motions, and this is how we will formal discussions are supposed to be. Now, what happens in a formal discussion? So a party member can, as I said, can discuss anything inside that particular subtopic. So you can go into technicalities inside that particular subtopic. Say, for example, if this debate is about environmental impact assessment, especially in the times of COVID-19, where Environment Ministry has decided to actually tone down a lot of restrictions that were there on stakeholders as such, because they want to kickstart the economy, yada yada yada. So you can probably say that you can probably go into the details as to whether it's constitutional or whether it's not, or what are the impacts of it, or the consequences of it on the environment, on say for example animals, or say for example the atmosphere, the pollution and all those kind of things. So you can talk about anything under that particular subtopic in your speeches as such. However, I would really appreciate it if you, and this is because this is one of a kind in terms of a committee. I know a lot of the politicians that you represent have never been very vocal about these issues. So you can talk about anything in general under this subtopic, or in case by luck, your portfolio has been vocal about some things. Like say for example, Aditya Thackeray in Mumbai has been vocal about RA Forest. So you can probably, you can probably talk about that as well, because it affects your constituency, your motherland that much as well. So it depends on that as well, in terms of where your political incentives come up about, and how you can how you want to push the debate in what direction you want. That's all about the formal discussion. Once the formal discussion is over, say for example 20 minutes which was there for that particular motion is over, is exhausted, what you can do rather is, there are 2 options. One, so I'll be asking for extension motions on the same formal discussion. So once I asked for that, any particular person from in the committee can raise their hand, or can raise can just notify me that they want to extend the motion, and you can extend the motion for any time that is less than half of the stipulated time. What does this mean? This means that if the original motion was for 20 minutes, then you cannot extend it more than 10 minutes. It has to be 10 minutes or lesser than 10 minutes in your extension motion. Yeah, okay. This question from So there's this question that somebody has asked: can we decide which formal debate topics we will discuss in the committee? So this is completely on your on your discretion. You can choose whatever you want. Although I am the moderator in this committee will be debated on solely by you guys. So you can discuss amongst yourselves, lobby amongst yourselves as to what topic you want to pass, what topic you want to talk about, or what topic you want to give a lot of priority. And that way, probably a lot of speakers can also talk about it. So for first timers, I'll just make it a little much more simpler. So individual, wait, just a second. Other question is there any time for, yeah. So the time limit for individuals or like speakers as such in a formal discussion is maximum of 1 minute. So you cannot go more than 1 minute in your formal discussion. So say for example, if the motion is for 20 minutes or 25 minutes, then we have to assume that there are 20 speakers or 25 speakers. You cannot go more than that. A GSL has more than that. A GSL has 1 minute 30 seconds. An opening statement has 2 minutes as a maximum limit. However, in a formal discussion, it has just a 1 minute cap. I hope that answers your question. So, okay, yeah, back to what I was discussing. So a formal discussion, so a topic for formal discussion has to be passed, right? Say for example, if I want to talk about topic A, or it can be anything, right? If I want to talk about topic A, it also has to be that like topic A, the motion for topic A has to be passed by everybody in the committee, or at least a majority in the committee for it to be discussed. So you have to lobby with your, with the other parties' representatives for it to be passed. Because if it is not passed, then you cannot speak on it. So for that, there are in a physical MUN or a youth parliament, you could probably just lobby physically. However, because it's going to be held on Zoom, there are it's kind of restrictive, but you can still lobby amongst yourselves. Say for example, you can privately text each other on Zoom chat, or you can probably take the phone numbers of each other and probably form a WhatsApp group of blocks or whatever if you want. All these kind of things. Okay, there's another question that if somebody asks questions and if the speaker doesn't know the answer, then what should we do? It's a very important question. Yeah, this is a very important question. So it will happen sometimes where, say for example, somebody is asking you a question and you don't know the answer to. It's fine. You can just say that you will write it via chit, or you can probably, but again, writing it via chit is not possible in a digital like MUN or a youth parliament. So what we can rather do is probably, you can address it in your next GSL speech if the other party representative is also okay with it, or you can probably privately text them and also inform us that you have inform the executive board that you have privately texted them with an answer for that question later on. So there are two ways to go about it when you don't know the answer. One, you can just say that you are not at liberty to say what you want to say because nobody is forcing you to answer anything. Okay. Or you can just say that I'll come up with that answer, or I'll probably text you later on as well. Okay, so one more question, that are there starred and unstarred questions? No. So starred and unstarred questions are, they are a mechanism only of the question hour in a Lok Sabha. So a starred question in a Lok Sabha is about like those questions which you want people to actually verbally answer. And unstarred questions are those that you want them to be like, answered via written, like, chat, all those kind of things. Both of which are not possible. Plus, this is an AI PPM, so these things will not be applied. Okay, so there are many questions which are coming in. I'll answer them right now, but please refrain from asking questions right now. I'll finish this session quickly, and then we can take questions from you. Okay, so I'll just finish these questions which have come up till now. So, okay, is there an official group? Okay, can we use the official group for lobbying? Yes, you can. There is no, there is no limit for that. You can use the official group for lobbying. You can create your own official. You can create your own unofficial groups as well. The second question is about, can we send questions via EV? Yeah, that would have been possible in a physical youth parliament, but I am not sure how that will be. That can happen in Zoom. I'll get back to you on that question. Yeah, do I accept substantial chits? Sure, I do accept substantial chits in general, but I'm not sure how in Zoom you can do that. Probably you can privately text me whatever you wanted to say, which you couldn't say verbally in your speech, and that would be proper. Okay, all those who are asking questions right now, please refrain from asking questions. I'll be taking your questions later on. Like, let me just finish with the ROP session. I'll take your questions later on. So if you have any questions right now, write down in your notebook or whatever, and you can ask me later on as well. Cool? Okay. Okay, this last question I'll answer before I move on. Last two questions before I move on. So First, in terms of if you don't answer the question on spot, will it affect your points? It will definitely affect your points, which is why I request all of you to research properly on what you are going to talk about, research properly on the topics that you're going to talk about. It's just like a school exam. You don't want to be caught off guard. So sure, it affects your points as well. So please don't. So please research well when you come to the committee. Okay, the last question that I'll answer before I go on to the ROP session is that can we choose, if we can choose our own topics, can we prepare the topics that we want? Yeah, so I actually already explained this. You can talk about any topic under the umbrella. That is, you can talk about any topic, any subtopic, like under this particular, this particular agenda as such. You can prepare on that as well. And how to start a discussion about a new topic, I said. So when I'll ask for motions, you can raise your hand like in Zoom, or you can probably text on the main group or anything as such as to what your motion is, so that then you can raise your motion by saying as whatever portfolio your portfolio is, I say as Rajnath Singh would like to raise a formal discussion on topic whatever A, or whatever that topic might be, for this much amount of time and this much amount of individual speaker time. So this is how you raise a motion. Okay. All right. So I'll move on to the ROP session. I'll take all your questions later on. Cool. Thanks a lot. Okay. So this is what a formal discussion looks like. If you have any doubts regarding the formal session that I just talked about, just write down in your own diary or whatever. You can ask them later on after this session is ended, right? Second, what is an informal discussion? An informal discussion is basically like an unmoderated caucus in a normal MUN. For those who have been to normal MUNs, for first timers, I'll explain. An informal discussion is when all the party members in the committee want to discuss amongst themselves. So say, for example, you can discuss what subtopic you want to discuss. Say, for example, you can discuss, you can lobby amongst for the subtopics that debated upon, all those kind of things. So you can probably form blocks. You can probably talk to your allies. You can talk to the other side as well. You can use the time for research, additional research if you don't want to lobby. You can do anything in your informal discussion. I will not be moderating that informal session. So like a formal discussion will be moderated by me, where I'll be overseeing what your speeches are. In an informal discussion, I will not be moderating that discussion. So it's like an informal session where it's like a recess or like a break for you, where you can use the break productively by researching or by lobbying with other people, or you can probably do nothing, and that can also be okay. So I am nobody to judge you on that. So an informal discussion cannot be more than 20 minutes, because anything more than that will be just eating into the committee time. So that's about it. That's what the informal discussion is. Yes, we do have a deputy moderator. I think he's on this call. His name is Ayush.
Yeah,
he can.
right.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to the 5 points that you can raise. In the committee. So points are basically rights that you have as a speaker. So a point of parliamentary inquiry is basically an inquiry that you are placing on the EB. So like if you want to ask some question to me, as just if you want to inquire about a procedure, or if you want to inquire about certain things, like say for example, how much time is remaining for this session to end, or how many speakers are there on the list, or all these kind of things, procedural inquiries that you want to have, you can raise a point of parliamentary inquiry, and you can just ask the EB, that is me or Ayush, and we will answer that question the best of our capabilities. So that is a query that a speaker can ask the EB, that is executive board, about. The second thing is a point of order. A point of order is basically of 2 types. One is a point of order on, like, for example, one speaker raising a point of order on the speech of another person. This means that, say for example, if I'm Rajnath Singh and I see Rahul Gandhi misstating facts, I can probably raise a point of order saying that this is factually incorrect, what Rahul Gandhi has said, and this is something that you want to place on record. So a point of order then, the first kind of point of order is a factual inaccuracy that you want to point out in somebody else's speech. But no, I'll be going into this in detail because a lot of people misuse this mechanism. The second point of order is where you can raise a point of order on me or Ayush for following the incorrect procedure as has been laid down. So see, you have the rules of procedure in front of you as in the study guide. However, if we deviate from the procedure, or if we do not follow parts of the procedure, then you can raise a point of order on the moderator or the deputy moderator for not following the procedure properly. Because ultimately, we are also humans; we can make mistakes, and we are also accountable to you as speakers. So these are the 2 points of orders that you can raise. The first point of order. Now, I want to. Yeah, I'm sorry, I cannot screen share the ROP because I'm currently on my phone because my laptop is kind of having some net problems.
Yeah, sir, I can screen share it.
Yeah, sure. If
Yeah.
some of you want to do it, please.
Yeah,
do it.
yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So that is about the point of order. So, okay. Now I'll be going into detail about the first kind of point of order. The first point of order, which is about a factual inaccuracy, is an objective test of factual inaccuracy. What does this mean? This means that it cannot be misused. Say, for example, if I say the sun rises in the west, which is a factually inaccurate statement, there is no scope for misinterpretation or a different interpretation that can be right. If I say the sun rises in the west, it's a factually inaccurate statement. These are the kind of statements that you can raise a point of order on. However, if somebody states something which doesn't logically seem sound, say for example, some things which are not factually inaccurate but just seem to be irrational or illogical in while they are speaking, that cannot be under the ambit of this point of order. So, say for example, or even opinions. Opinions also cannot be under a factually inaccurate point of order. An opinion can be, I believe the sun rises in the west. Sure, my belief might be wrong, but when I say I believe, that is not a factually inaccurate statement because an opinion cannot be a factually inaccurate statement. So you can only raise points of orders on objectively considered factually inaccurate statements, like passing a statement like sun rises in the west, or say for example that right now Rahul Gandhi is the Prime Minister of India, something like that. I'm not looking at the questions right now on my chat because I just need to finish the session. After that, I'll be taking questions. So this is what is the point of privilege? This is very important because it's the most disruptive point and which you can always avail as a speaker. A point of personal privilege is basically it means that you are facing some personal difficulties or discomfort. Say for example, net problems. Say for example, if you have your next speech, okay, and your microphone is not working or your audio is not working or anything as such, probably you can use a point of personal privilege and you can say that I like to excuse myself speaking at this particular moment, and as the moderator or the deputy moderator, we might actually excuse you because these personal privileges might these problems might arise during the session. Say for example, this is not related to the debate at all. Say for example, somebody else is speaking right now. I'm speaking, but if I'm not audible to you guys, then you can raise a point of personal privilege and just tell me that I'm not audible. I can probably fix my microphone and try to be audible. So a point of personal privilege then is the most disruptive point because it can disrupt anybody's speech as well. So notice that none of these points of personal privilege, points of parliamentary inquiry, point of order, or or the point of or the right to reply that I'm going to deal with can ever be utilized. None of these points can be ever utilized when somebody else is speaking on that particular thing. However, you on any particular topic. However, you can raise these points only when somebody is not speaking in between speeches as such. So that is about it. Just a second. Just a second. I just have to check my internet again. All right. So until my internet is restored, I'll answer the questions that are there on the chat. So if you have any questions, just shoot them on the chat. I'll try to answer them as much as I can. Okay, Tejas has a question. Will points be accepted? Yeah, so points like points of information or point of order can be accepted after a formal discussion speech, sure. But a point of information cannot be entertained after a formal discussion speech, because that is something that is only available after a GSL speech or after an opening statement, but it cannot be used in a formal discussion speech or after a formal discussion speech. So that you have to be careful. It can be used after a formal discussion speech. Second question. Yeah, for motions, right? So I have not decided it. I haven't decided it yet, but probably we can do that via text, or we can do it via somebody verbally speaking it as well. I'll just discuss with my debate moderator, and we will update you on this on the main WhatsApp group as well tonight itself. Third question is about what resources. Sure, this is a very important question. Thank you for asking that question. So for a point of order. Yeah, humor is always appreciated. Okay. Yeah. So for a point of order, say for example, you trying to prove the other speaker wrong by saying that their speech was factually inaccurate. You can always there are certain resources that you have to back your statement up with. So you cannot not say believe that the other person is factually inaccurate. That statement should stand. So the only way to prove yourself, or the only way to factually prove that the other person was factually wrong, is by giving some proper citations in terms of bringing in newspaper reports where those newspaper reports are not biased but rather seen as something commonly agreed by everyone. So and this is kind of like okay, is my voice okay right now?
Yes,
Hello?
okay, you're clear. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So say for example, Wire, or say for example Republic TV, some article on TikTok being used by China to steal our data, invade our privacy, and all those kind of things. This is something which is not generally accepted, generally agreed by everybody in the world right now. Like, not a lot of newspapers and not a lot of reports have actually stated this, but I think some of them are giving some fuel to this fire of their invasion of our privacy as such. So these kind of news reports can be treated as something that is like factually true, but it can be something that you can use in your speech. However, if there is a particular report about something which is objectively true, say for example Republic TV or The Wire or any reporting on the floods or the Bihar floods, or say the election results, which are very which cannot be based on a rumor as such, but rather based on facts as such, can be entertained as resources to back your point of order up as. Yes, Shairi and couplets are completely allowed. We're not going to actually penalize anybody for using it. POIs are not accepted every time. So I just explained it right now. Points of information are only after the GSL speech. Okay. It is not accepted after a formal discussion speech. So points of information are not entertained during a formal discussion. When do we begin committee, and by what time do we wrap up? I think that is there in your schedule. You just have to look it up. I think you have been emailed with the schedule as well. I don't have the schedule in front of me right now, but I think it is there in the schedule. Sorry, Tejasvi Yadav, what's your question? In the last one you tried, what and what did not work? So yeah, so you can ask questions so questions can be of two types, right? It can be a point of information from one speaker to another, or it can be from a speaker to the chair or to the moderator as such. So these two types of questions are different. One is point of information, the other one is point of parliamentary inquiry. So parliamentary inquiry you can ask anytime between two speeches. Don't disrupt anybody else's speech. But like a point of information can only be entertained after somebody's speech has been done, but not during a formal discussion, as I just told you. Is my voice still big? I'll just switch networks. Hi, am I audible now? I just changed my network. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I'll just finish with the rules of procedure real quick. I have not finished it yet. After which we can address your further questions if you have. Okay. So about that was about the informal discussions. Now we will be talking about the right of reply. So a right of reply is basically when a particular party member has been insulted by the other party member. Say, for example, that about how politicians get very angry at each other. They hurl each other insults, which we don't want to really make this committee about. And I don't really think that an environment agenda really gives scope for that. But in case that happens, you can always raise a right of reply. Say, for example, if Rajnath Singh says something, I'm so sorry for always giving Rajnath Singh's example. It's just stuck in my head right now. But say, for example, if Rajnath Singh says something very downright offensive to some other speaker as such, the other speaker can raise a right of reply where you can probably say that felt personally insulted, demand a personal apology or public apology from Rajnath Singh as such. So right of reply is only when you personally, as a person who's representing a particular portfolio or your constituency as such or something like that, has been personally attacked by the other particular person. So it is very rare, and it has to be adjudicated by me. Just like a point of order has to satisfy some tests, even right of reply has to satisfy some tests, after which that will be granted. So coming to the last part of the ROP session, coming to the right. Yeah, am I audible? I feel like I'm not audible.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. I'm so sorry. Yeah, all right. So the last part is the paperwork. Now, in any MUN or youth parliament, say Lok Sabha as such, you always pass bills or laws as such, right? However, in a formal committee like AIPPM, you don't have to pass any laws or any bills as such. There are only two types of paperwork. One is a communique. A communique is basically a document which has to be jointly approved by everyone. So it's like a set of rules or things that everybody in the committee agrees to, and it can only be passed if it has been passed by every single vote in the committee. If even one person says that they are not okay with or they are not okay with the communique, or that they are voting no for it, it means that that communique cannot pass. So that is what a communique can be. There is no set format for a communique. You can just type a title of the communique, and you can write down the pointers that you agree on, and that what you will probably discuss later on. So that is what a communique is. The second form of paperwork is a press release. This can be individual. This can be individual, not individual. This can be only party based. So, say for example, if there are 3 members of a party in this particular committee, all 3 of them can jointly issue a press release from their party regarding something on certain topic. So, not every member can present their own press release, but every party can do it. So, if there is only one particular person from that particular party, then they can also present the press release. So, the marking system for a paperwork will not depend on how many people or whether you have a paperwork or not, but rather what content of that paperwork is, in terms of, say for example, what you have resolved to do after the end of the committee, or what you have learned and what you will probably avoid in the future as such. So I will now discuss the importance of paperwork in something like AIPPM. So an AIPPM is basically only judges what you want to actually say, for example, the India-China border standoff, right? What happened was, all the parties agreed that everybody has to stand behind the government in these tough times, right? this is something that will now flow down in the Lok Sabha as well, where you discuss the same issue on the same things that you probably discuss in the AIPPM. So when AIPPM's paperwork has on the next session of the parliament, where you're probably going to take it up as a discussion, like, in that particular parliament. So a paperwork is some sort of like a statement, or like a some sort of paper which has some which states that you're probably going to discuss this issue further, or you're going to probably like talk about it in the parliament in the parliamentary session as such. So that is what the importance of a paperwork in an AIPPM is. It is perfectly fine if the committee does not have a paperwork as well, because a lot of times AIPPM does not have a paperwork as well. So that's completely fine. Okay, so this brings me to the end of my ROP session. I will now be taking questions one by one. I'm so sorry I did not check chat before. Okay, so one by one I'll go. First, what is a substantial chit? Could you give an example of it? Okay. A substantial chit is basically something which is not just about merely telling somebody something. Like, say, for example, Arvind Kejriwal saying hi to Mamata Banerjee. That is not a substantial chit. That is a private conversation between the two. But a substantial chit is something that you want, that can be used in your speech as well. A substantial chit is something like, which has some substance, some content within that particular chit. Say, for example, me writing about environmental impact assessment or environmental policies in the Modi government, and whether they are good or bad, why they are good, reasons for it, and all those kind of things. So a substantial chit has to be, filled with content as to what you're trying to portray. So it doesn't have to have a lot of content, but if it even has thoda sa content, then it will be considered to be a substantial chit. Hope that is clarified. Yeah, if you want to discuss in the group, that you're completely welcome. Yes, I think most of this is about just lobbying and WhatsApp group. I think you can frame your own WhatsApp group based on the connections that you can have. You can probably right now use this Zoom call to text each other privately and form WhatsApp groups of your own, like mini WhatsApp groups of your own, say, for example, for your party or your party allies as such. It will be completely your discussion. Okay, Tejasvi Yadav. Yeah, what was the previous MUN like, and why did it not work? Because this is my first time doing a Zoom meeting MUN, so I would really like your insight on it as well. Okay, about Shashi Tharoor, about cash prices, I think I cannot address it right now, because this is something which is the purview of the organizing committee. Me being the moderator, I am just limited to my my own executive powers in this particular committee. I cannot tell you about the cash price or how much it is, and all these kind of things. Yeah, so if you want, you can use your WhatsApp completely. If you want, you can probably text each other on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I don't know. There are so many platforms that you can text each other on. You can probably lobby on those platforms as well. But I'm suggesting Zoom meeting right now, because everybody is in this Zoom meeting. So you can text each other and get each other's contact info as such, so that it's better off for you. But again, I'm nobody to tell you anything on this. I am just a moderator. How you communicate between your between each other is something that is clearly your discretion. But I would just suggest that please make it happy and a very, very good environment for each and everybody. Don't be insensitive to each other. Just be very, very sensitive in how you approach each other, because some people might get off the wrong way. Can you come up with amendments in environmental laws? No, sorry, Arvind Kejriwal. That is actually something which is really great, but you cannot do that in the purview of AIPPM, because we are not a parliamentary body. We are just having a formal meeting between the politicians. So you can pass an amendment in this particular committee as such.
So
okay, yeah.
So could you please repeat the part discussing what it got disconnected at that point of time?
Okay, so a communique is basically a joint statement, a joint documentation from the entire committee. Be passed only by the majority. It has to be passed by everyone. So that's why a communique is something, even if one particular member in the entire committee says that I vote no on this particular communique, then the entire communique fails. So a communique has to be a joint, effort by everybody in the committee, where everybody approves of the communique. Only then will it be passed. The impact of this communique or any press release or any paperwork in an AIPPM, I'll get to the press release as well. So the impact of the communique is that it sends a statement out to the public that the entire meeting, all the political parties have agreed on a few things that you're going to discuss later on in the parliament, or that you're going to focus on in your policies as such later on, in the environment, agenda as such. So that is how it is going to be. What is a press release, right? A press release is basically, okay, how many of you know about Samna? Samna is a newspaper that is supposed to be a mouthpiece for Shiv Sena. So the same way, there are certain newspapers which are owned by Congress. There are certain newspapers which are sponsored by BJP as well. So they're not official mouthpieces, but a press release is basically when, say, for example, Sambit Patra comes to the public on media, or say, for example, Randeep Surjewala from Congress comes to press or media, and they talk about certain things which they want the media to know. That is what a press release is. It can be in person, which is not allowed in this committee, obviously, or it can be via a press release, which is a written format. So, say, for example, when All India Congress Committee, which is an internal Congress committee, when they met, every time they meet, they always release a press release as to what they decided in the committee. So it's like, a documentation of what they discussed and what was agreed to or not agreed to by everybody in the committee. So it's just like that. A press release, a communique can be like that, or a press release can just be what your party stance is on a particular issue. So say, for example, if the DMK or if the TMC, Trinamool Congress, wants to have a press release, you can have a press release on it. You can just use your press release to signify your disappointment or your approval with how the committee went ahead, or what you wanted the committee to discuss further, or what you're happy with and what you're going to support in the committee, all those kind of things. So that is how you can use your press release or a communique. I hope that is clear by now. So no, I would suggest not. There is no limit as such. As I said, a press release is something which is an AIPPM as a committee itself is something which is very, very unofficial in its rules. So even if you want to have more than one press release, I think you can, but nobody's stopping you from that. But I would suggest that you don't have it, because then there will only be press releases and no debates on it. So if you want to say something out, you can use your speech as something which where you want to convey your feelings or opinions, and don't use press releases that much. Okay. The next question is, can we give plan of actions? No, plans of actions are not allowed in AIPPM. I'll be treating the communique or the press release only as a plan of action. It doesn't have to be named a plan of action, because anything that is discussed in the AIPPM is supposed to be is taken for as an assent to it being discussed in the parliament. So I think that answers your question. Would there be updates? If you mean crisis updates, there won't be any crisis updates. It's a closed door meeting. So I don't think I will come up with a new crisis every day. I will not come up with a new crisis like, there has been an update, this is what's happening in this part of India. How are you going to respond to it? No, I'm not going to do that. So once you enter the committee, we will have to assume that there has not been any update from that particular date.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
That when will we write the communique or the press release?
Okay.
Means first,
your voice is breaking.
let's be in the committee. Yes, sir. Sir, even my internet connection is unstable.
Okay.
Sir, so when should we write the communique or the press release?
Okay. So your press release or communique has to be at the end of the committee. So, after the end of the 2 days or 3 days or the end of all the sessions, you can use the communique, or you can come up with the communique. You can use informal discussion hours as well, to form your communique, to lobby with the other people, and like that. So so ideally, press release and communique happens happens towards the end of the entire session. By session, I mean the entire 3 days of debates. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay,
And
sir.
so, what
Yes,
will
sir.
we talk about in the formal discussions?
Okay, a formal discussion, a session on any subtopic. So as I said before in my ROP session, it can be sorry. So say for example, in a review of environmental laws, if you want to discuss some environmental impact on say some green spaces in Mumbai or Maharashtra or UP as such, you can make that a subtopic, and discuss it like as part of the agenda, and you can just discuss it in terms of what you want to like probably push forth. So say for example, as I gave an example before, if the topic is about RA forest, like in India, in Mumbai, RA forest and the metro development, you can probably talk about as a member of parliament, or sorry, as a party representative, you can talk about the impact of cutting down of trees in our forest, or whether or not environmental laws have been effective in this regard, or if it has not been, then what are your suggestions to improve the law as such. You can discuss anything. These are just things. These are just examples as such. You can discuss anything inside the subtopic where you want to express your opinion, or you want to suggest something new in that particular regard to solve or to make like Indian environmental laws much better off.
Okay, sir.
So
I asked that about amendments, and you said no. So, like, we can just give suggestions about what is viable or not.
yeah, so you can discuss your suggestions or amendment ideas in your speeches or in your communique as well. But since this is not a parliamentary body, because it's not the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha, we cannot pass amendments to any laws in this particular committee. So this is just a formal meeting of all the party MLAs, party like representatives. So you cannot pass any amendments because we don't have the power as a committee to pass any amendments. But if you have any ideas to discuss which can be of an amendment nature, you can discuss it in the committee, informally or formally, as you may want it. But we as a committee, we cannot pass an amendment. I hope I'm clear on that.
Yes, sir.
Can suggestions for amendments be included in the press release?
Yeah, you can. It's completely your as a party, because it's a press release. You can release anything that you want. But just note that this press release is going to go to the media, to the public as such. So please, whatever you want to convey, just keep it. Just have a note of it in your mind that whatever you're going to convey in a press release is going to go out to the citizens of India, and how people are going to view you as a party.
Is it like the whole gist of the committee?
Yeah, it can be a gist of the committee. It can be a gist of what your party stance is on that committee. Anything. It can be anything. So if you want, just go to Google right now and Google what AICC, like All India Congress Committee press releases are like, or BJP press releases are like, and you'll get an idea of how a press release is made, or like what it does as such. So it is not hard to find also on the internet. I think you could get a lot of examples of that. Any other questions? So if there are any questions, you can ask me in the chat. I will wait for 5-10 more minutes. Okay. Sorry. No, communiques don't have any format to be followed, as at least in this committee. So you can just have it as as the title of the communique as to what you decide, or whatever title you want to give, and you can just start off with pointers like 1, this is what you're going to talk about. 2, this is what has been agreed. 3, SSL. So you can have like pointers, and you can just start off with whatever you have agreed to as a committee on anything as such. So there is no particular format as such. I hope that answers your question. No. So you cannot raise a point of order on policy violations. I will be noting policy violations. There will be marks cut for that. But you cannot raise a point of order. A point of order can only be done for 2 reasons. 1, a factual inaccuracy, or 2, a procedural inaccuracy where I as a moderator have failed you in terms of like abiding by the procedure as such. So it doesn't cover policy violations as such. Yeah, okay. The Kader Mohiddin has a relevant question. that when you answer a point of information as a chit or in another JSL, will there be a reduction of points? There won't be a reduction of points, but there won't be, example, if there are, giving you an example, this is not how I work, I'm just giving you an example. If, say, for example, there is a maximum of 2 or 3 points that I can give you for an answer, for a really good answer, and if you decide to answer it later on, I'll probably like give you 1.5 or 1 mark for that. So it's not that I'm reducing marks, but just that you'll not be getting the maximum of marks on that particular regard. Don't worry about marks. Let this be an educational experience, because this is something which for most of you is a new experience, and most of you in the lockdown is just trying to experiment with what an AIPPM is. So don't do it for the awards as such. Just try to have an idea about how an AIPPM works and how you can discharge your portfolio's role properly in this AIPPM. Okay. Any other questions? I don't think there are any questions. If there are, you can probably switch on your mic and also speak. That's also okay. Viable resources. Okay. So viable resources, as I said before, it's not something that will be discussed. It is not something that I can tell you right now as a ground rule. I cannot say that these are the newspapers or news reports or news channels that I can say that I'll rely on completely, because every news channel does have some flaws in how they report. So every point of order and the resource that backs up that point of order will be looked at in isolation. कि ये वाले circumstance में, ये वाले topic पे, whether this particular report applies or not. So say for example, as you may already know that the Wire or like all these kind of like newspapers are kind of biased in terms of how they report. Sure, they may be biased to some extent, but on certain topics which are about facts. Say for example, the Wire reporting about Rajasthan political crisis as such, which is something which is very, very relevant as such and very, very factual. Those kind of things will be accepted like as proper resources, viable resources, because on that particular note, this reporting is not biased. So, which is why it will be based on situations where like in terms of what point of order you're raising and what is the matter or what is the content of that particular reporting of newspaper channels or news channels as such as well. Okay. So the next question is, can we know the marking scheme? No, I don't. I'm not going to reveal my marking scheme. That is not allowed to be revealed right now, because then it will be just about you trying to fit yourself in the marking scheme. Don't do it. I'll probably broadly tell you how to like probably win an award or how to do like a splendid job as a party representative. So you can probably so you have to debate really well. You have to push your content very well in your speeches. You have to have your paperwork as well properly. You have to have a generally very impactful presence in the committee. Say, for example, if you're giving a speech, but if the speech is nowhere relevant to what the topic is, then I don't think I'll be giving you that much of an impact that probably somebody else might have on the same level. So generally, it is just about the kind of impact that you have in your speeches, the kind of content or research that you have in your speeches, and the paperwork that's going to follow as well. So don't worry about the marking scheme, I'm telling you again, because it's something that is deplorable as a practice, because it looks like you have only come here to win an award and not to enjoy the experience of simulating an AIPPM. Can we use Wikipedia as a viable resource? I would suggest not to, because Wikipedia usually is also edited by multiple people. Like it can be edited by me also right now. I can edit BJP's page and write down that Rahul Gandhi is a prime minister right now. So Wikipedia is not something which is a viable resource. I would rather suggest that you back your statements up with, say for example, news reports, where news reports are largely consensual. Like it has been agreed by multiple like news channels where the reporting is not really biased, or maybe like you have report statistics backing up your statements, which will be far better than Wikipedia. Yeah, okay. There might be some non-school children as well, but I don't see what the question here with regards to that. Is there any problem with having some college people as well over here?
This is a school committee as such.
Oh, okay. All right. So I think the organizing committee has already dealt with it. That most of the people here are not from college, but if they are, I will anyway have a word with the organizing committee to ensure that it remains a school committee, because as per the rules, otherwise it kind of violates that rule. Thanks for pointing it out. I will just talk to.
Sir, it's for 7th to 10th graders only.
All right. Yeah, I know about that, but I'm not sure whether all the participants are college students or not. So if you feel that there are some college students over here, don't worry, I'll have a word with the organizing committee again. So I think that shouldn't be a concern. Sure. Is there any member of the organizing committee in this particular call, in this particular breakout room?
Yes, sir. So we have Vedang Kopkar, and we have me. I'm the vice president, and there's Vedang.
All right. So can you please check, or like, can you just ensure that there are no college students in this particular committee? Because I think a few of them have concerns that there are non-school students over here, which kind of violates the rule, because this committee is supposed to be the school committee.
So, sir, while allotting them their committees, while allotting them AIPPM, we have ensured that they are school students itself. Like, we have taken their age into consideration as well. So that issue won't arise.
Cool. Thanks. So if you guys noted, then organizing committee has already ensured that there are no college students in this particular committee. That even if they might be in this particular breakout room, don't worry, in the committee there won't be. So that issue won't come up anyway. Can a press release be authored by two parties? You can probably do that, but it is highly unlikely, because I've never seen that happen. But it sometimes happens in a very rare fashion. Say, for example, many parties standing together against one particular policy as such, that can also happen. So it can be co-authored by two parties. That can also be done, but just ensure that it is in line with your in line with your policy as such, as a party. Can we use any website? Okay, can we use any website as a viable resource? I have explained this 3 times already. A viable resource can be anything which has facts but not biased reporting. And this is the last time I'm explaining, so please listen to it very carefully. Any particular issue that you want to use as a viable resource can have biases in it. Say, for example, Republic TV having biased reporting on China, or say, for example, The Wire being sponsored or supported by Congress to the extent where it has biased reporting, or say, for example, Op India, which also has certain BJP biases in it. So there might be these channels, or there might be some newspapers which can be biased. But when you're using it as a point of order, or when you're using it as something to support your own speech, when you're using it to support something in your speech, I would look at not the news channel or the website, but rather what the website has the content of. So, for example, even if Wikipedia is used, Wikipedia will be allowed to be used if Wikipedia states facts which are objectively considered to be facts, and not something which is in the gray area, which can be debatable. So, say, for example, if Wikipedia states that Narendra Modi is the Prime Minister of India, that is something that will be accepted, because it is an objectively it is considered to be a fact anyway. However, if Wikipedia talks about something like Sachin Pilot being suspended or disqualified from the Congress party, I'm not sure whether that is right, because there are rumors and there are counter news channels which are also saying this otherwise. So I'm not sure, because it's debatable whether that has happened or not. So there are things which are debatable, which are not debatable. So I won't look at the website or the source of your news. I would rather see what the news is about, the content of the news, to know whether it is okay or not. Okay, there's one other question. Can we quote people who we are representing, even if it is logically or even factually incorrect? I don't think that can happen, because most politicians have some logic behind their statements as well. So, say, for example, even some people who say Hindu Rashtra must happen, even though that might be unconstitutional, there's some logic behind that statement, which is why they make those statements. So even if or if they are completely illogical, let's take the worst case scenario, then you can probably avoid using their statements, and you can probably probably say something else. So If you want, you can circumvent that as well by not talking about the same thing. In a communique, do we have to mention authors and signatories? No. In a communique, you do not have to mention any authors. You have to mention signatories. Signatories have to be more than 1/3 of the committee, which means that, okay, I'm not sure about the strength of the committee, but whatever, if the strength is like say 30 people or 40 people, 1/3 will be around 10 to 15 people. So if more than 10 people or 13 or 14 people out of 40 are signatories under the communique, then it can be taken for discussion. So a signatory, for those people who do not know what the signatory is, the signatory means any person who's willing to discuss the communique or discuss the paperwork. It doesn't mean just because your name is there as a signatory on the communique, it doesn't mean that you want it to be passed or you do not want it to be passed. It simply means that you are giving your assent to it being discussed. So that is what a signatory means. It's completely fine, even if you don't agree with the communique, to also be a signatory in the paperwork. So I hope that is also clear. Any other questions? If you want, you can unmute yourself and also speak out your question. It's completely fine. Will we have to draft the communique during? Yeah. So you can communicate in your informal sessions. You can draft your communique before the sessions are happen. Say for example, right now we are talking about something where the sessions has not even been started. You can probably start drafting right now as well. It is completely your choice. It's not my prerogative when to start drafting. It is your choice. Okay, so I see a party representative has shared a WhatsApp link. That's very nice. You can probably lobby over there. You can have your own WhatsApp groups and unofficially lobby as well. That's your prerogative. It's not something that I can delve into. Ayush, do you want to clarify some things from your side as well?
Yes, sir. So, if you don't mind, I would just like to clarify to them how to send chats via the Zoom chat box. So, one of them has asked it. So, okay. So, members, let's say you want to send a chat to another member. Let's say Dr. Shashi Tharoor wants to send it to Dr. Arvind Kejriwal. So you can just type it on the Zoom chat box, like from Dr. Shashi Tharoor to Arvind Kejriwal. I'll just type it out. Yes. So you can type it like this and then send it, and we'll take it into record. All right. Yeah, sir. That was it.
All right. That was very helpful. There were a lot of questions, and I actually didn't know how to answer because this is my first time studying over a Zoom meeting as well. Youth Parliament. I hope that is clear with all the members as to how to send a chat on Zoom. Are there any other questions?
So, but when we close the meeting, you won't be able to access the chats after we close the meeting. Will that be okay with you?
Yes, member. We have a deputy moderator and a scribe, so we will be taking the verbatim on record, so you don't have to worry about that. It will be on record, but you will send it on the Zoom chat box.
Oh, I literally look so disgusting. Thin or fat?
Fat.
Whoever is speaking on, I hope you know that you are unmuted. So anyway, so are there any other questions before we conclude the session for today? I hope this was really helpful. If there are any more questions, you can always reach out to us on the WhatsApp group for AIPPM, the official group, where I'll be there. I think Ayush is also there. So we can probably clarify your doubts over there as well. Okay, yeah, the last question. Could the paperwork be unanimous? Okay. Yeah, paperwork, only the communique has to be unanimous. It's not can be, it has to be. A communique requires you to be unanimous because even if one particular to the communique, then the entire communique fails. However, a press release doesn't need the voting of anybody. A press release can be released at any point without the voting of any particular member as well. So yeah, that is the clarification for that. Only a communique will have to be unanimous. A press release by the party or by a group of parties isn't subject to voting by other members in the same particular committee, because the press release is the right for any particular party to or an individual to release. Sorry, not an individual, just a party. So yeah, I hope that clarifies your question.
So is the chair entertaining press releases or communique or both?
Both. Both will be entertained. That's why both of them were discussed. You can use either of them or both of them. It's completely your discretion.
Press releases aren't debated upon, right?
No. Press releases aren't debated upon. But if you want it to be, say for example, if there is one topic that you wanted to debate on, but they didn't debate on, you can probably write it substantially in terms of what your party or you as a representative felt about that particular topic, which is not discussed in detail in the committee, and you can write it in your press release as well. So you can use your press release to write about anything that you want, but it has to be related to the agenda and it has to be related to your party's stance or anything as such. I hope that is clear. All right then. If there are no more. Yeah.
Sir, could you just give your number in the chat so that we could reach out with you?
Sure. So, yeah, this is my WhatsApp number as well as my number to reach out if you want to call me. But I'm also there on the main group, WhatsApp group. So if you want to address any doubt over there, I would actually suggest that you reach out to us on the WhatsApp main group, because what your doubt might also be a doubt that is common for others. So if you individually reach, probably I have to clarify it multiple times. But if I clarify it on the main group, then I think everybody can at once access that clarification. So cool. Okay. Organizing committee, can you add Harshi Mat Baddal to the group, because I think that particular person's number is not on the group, the other number.
Okay, yeah. You can just okay. So are you not on the group, sir, or ma'am? On the AIPP group?
I have another number, so I have to add that number. So can you please make me group admin?
You can send us the number. Okay, I'll just give you a number, and I'll say just give me the new number on the chat box. I'll send you the invite link on that number, and you can join from the new number.
Okay, yeah, no problem.
Yeah, could you just type out the new number in the Zoom chat box right now?
Okay, so there was another question. Can a press release be done by the party chairperson? Yes. I think the press release, when you are releasing it for the party, has to be unanimous for the party. So say, for example, if there are 3 people from the Trinamool Congress or say from the Congress on the committee, then all 3 of them will have to say yes before it as an individual. It has to be agreed as a press release. Yes, it can be made by the party. It can be made by anybody else as well, but it has to be assented to by everybody in your party. The members for coming in and listening to this ROP session. I hope this was enlightening. I also thank my deputy moderator for clarifying some doubts. It was very helpful, as well as the organizing committee for hosting Zoom call. This was very, very easy to conduct the session as well. Thanks a lot. So with that, I think we reached the end of this session. So You can leave the breakout room. You can probably talk to other people in the room as well if you want to lobby. But this brings us to the end of the rules of procedure side. If you have any further doubts on the WhatsApp group, or reach out to us probably on my number that I've posted on the group, or anybody from the OC, probably they can direct you towards me as well. Cool.
Yeah. Hello, Rangan.
Yeah.
Could you stay
Sure.
back?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Telecage members, you can leave right now. So either we will be opening up the official AIPPM group for you to lobby, or you guys can make another official group, or we will add you. So either way, we'll let you know by tonight. We'll have a group where you guys can lobby, because
Sir, we have already made a group.
All right, cool, great then, great. Yeah, if you guys don't have any more questions, you guys are free to leave now.